Welcome, welcome, welcome. South by Southwest is loud. Dr. Heather's brain is tired, and we are live from Austin, Texas. Dr. Heather
We are
Collins.
live.
Dr. Heather Collins, we are live from the heartbeat of South by Southwest. You have been presenting 3 presentations so far, innumerable networking events, and we just thought we had to bring it to our beloved audience on LinkedIn and YouTube before you collapse in a heap, frankly. How are you doing? How are you doing, my friend?
I am doing fabulous. I am simultaneously exhausted and exhilarated. It's an interesting combination of things. You nailed it when you said I am going to collapse in a heap after this. But we are here. We are live from Congress Street in South by Southwest. This is the beating heart of where all South by Southwest attendees gather, mix, mingle, network, say hello. Right behind me, there's PBS. You may see, you see Clifford, the big red dog back here. We have Clifford in the house with us today. So it is a scene. Everybody's here mixing, mingling, and having a great time in between sessions, talking about all of the amazing experiences we've all had for the past week.
I really hope we get Clifford the big red dog into this.
I know, right?
In a more meaningful way. For those of you who don't know, South by Southwest is a yearly gathering that is really about ideas in culture, in tech, in, how would you describe it, Dr. Heather?
Well, it's a massive gathering. Every year, 300,000 people come to Austin for South by Southwest. And it's been for South by Southwest EDU plus South by Southwest right after that, a massive gathering. At any hour of any day, there could be 27 different events happening, from networking events to large houses, as they're called. Brazil has Sao Paulo House. We have German houses here, Australia House, UK House, and they all have country-specific events and cultural events happening, as well as panels.
But let's bring it down to
keynotes.
So if we're bringing it down to what it does, what it provides to the world, what would you say it does? By the way, you're great.
It provides an opportunity for collaboration, connection, and discussion about what the future holds for us.
I have to say, when I went to South by Southwest many years ago, it was really just about the bands. It used to just be about the bands. But now it's a very different animal.
Certainly, there's a film and TV festival. We've seen Bob Odenkirk, John Goodman here having premieres. Certainly, there's a music festival with bands every night. And we've seen a keynote given by Steven Spielberg, and the closing keynote tomorrow is by Jane Fonda. As a cognitive neuroscientist and keynote speaker, I've been focusing a little bit more on the innovation track, so focusing more on those connections with entrepreneurs, looking at tech, the AI of intersection and society and culture and communication, and just really networking with a lot of people and talking about what the future of business, culture, and communication hold for all of us.
So aside from everyone getting to see your beautiful face and getting to see a little bit of Austin behind you, what I would love for us to do today is talk about what you have talked about, what your biggest takeaways from this South by Southwest have been so far. Then we are going to talk about what to do when your brain starts to really melt onto itself, why some of our best ideas will happen after an event like this, and how to keep going. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
So that's what we're doing, folks. For those of you watching, what we're doing next is we're going to talk about what Dr. Heather has been doing. So Dr. Heather, give me the 3 topics that you have talked about.
So my 3 topics have been on first, really reclaiming your brain in the age of AI.
Woo!
And that merges with the second topic very closely, which was a panel discussion with some of our colleagues, Mel, our friends and colleagues, looking, and they were tech guys. And so we have tech guy and brain lady, and we were talking about essentially what AI looks like throughout organizations today and what it's going to look like in the future. And that was really fun and interesting because I was able to hear about some of our colleagues, their view of AI, which is a little more up here, and mine, which is, as a cognitive neuroscientist, you're sitting in front of a computer or tablet, or you're talking on your phone. You're sitting and interacting with an LLM at a very deeply personal level. What does that look like for your brain? What does that look like for communication? What kind of relationship do you use with AI in order to have brain gain instead of brain drain? And that's what I've been focusing on.
This is such an important topic, and I know you had standing room only. I know you had standing room only, and I know you won't say it, so I will. How long was the Q&A afterwards?
So we had standing room only and Q&A afterwards for about 45 minutes.
Well, because everybody wants to know how to use AI, not be used by it, right?
Oh, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's a fantastic way to put it. And it's so easy. And I've talked to so many people about how it's easy, and maybe you've had this experience too. You sit down, you start typing in something with AI, you're prompting it, and then 2 hours later you look up and realize you've gone down a rabbit hole. And then you think, oh, I really actually haven't learned that much or done that much to move my needle forward in the past 2 hours. I've just sort of been there in this rabbit hole with AI. I think we've all done that.
Yeah.
And so the question is, how do we really use it in a more strategic way? And so what I've done is I've come up with some frameworks, some guidelines for people when they use AI. And one of them is that your brain reserves the right to a first draft. Ooh. Your brain deserves that. Your brain works hard. Your brain has one goal, you. Let it do its job. So give it a first draft. So think of something before you start typing into AI, whether that's a first draft of an email or a first draft of a thought of an idea. You don't even have to write it down. Any kind of thinking counts. Talking out loud to yourself counts. Talking to your dog counts. And just thinking inside your head internally counts also. Really, we're just looking for you to put in a little bit of cognitive effort first before you start to use AI.
You know, you and I agree on this one for different reasons, but this is one when I get very frustrated when people want to outsource their creative or analytical thinking to AI, because I'm like, well, then you're not really being creative or being a thought leader. You are actually just doing Google searches with an LLM. But also, so I argue with AI all the time. I'll say, I tend to do, what I am thinking about things, and then I will put it in and say, help me write this in a format for X, Y, or Z. And then I will tell it, no, that's completely incorrect. You totally forgot about the Straits of Hormuz. And it will then say, oh, you're right. I don't know about the Straits of Hormuz. And then I will say, well, what about Myanmar? And then often it will then start to blow smoke up my behind. And I'm like, look, don't blow smoke up my behind just because I caught you off guard about Myanmar. But that's often where I go down a rabbit hole, and you'll hear from me 6 hours later. So you've got all these frameworks. But how do you get out of a rabbit hole with AI?
Well, one of the things is before you sit down, you need to actually have a goal. And just to not get lost, write that goal on a little sticky note. Put it to your phone if you're walking around and talking with AI. Put it on your laptop, your tablet, your computer, if you're typing things in, so that you actually have a visual representation of what your goal is. I would say another thing that's really important to avoid getting down that rabbit hole is actually type your goal in. And rather than just spending forever prompting AI, have AI prompt you back. And you're going to spend some time kind of constructing your knowledge model, right? Going back and forth, doing a little brainstorming. That's great. That's good. But then exactly what you and I were talking about, you want to elevate that once you have your model constructed of what you're learning or creating, you want to elevate that to actual critical thinking. And so the way we can use AI to help boost our thinking skills is by using it as a collaborative thinking partner. And that means having it prompt you back, having it challenge your assumptions, having it ask you what your biases are, having it ask you for alternative explanations for what could be happening.
Okay, this is all great. And frankly, I think this is a whole new avenue that we need to have you on a roadshow about, and we need to do a whole other thing about. So I want to put a slight pin in this because I do want you to tell us about the third talk you did. Let's not sleep on that.
The third talk I did was Couture Cognition, how fashion affects your brain. And it was amazing. It was fabulous. And I had so many people, Melanie, believe it or not, who went to all three talks.
And for the record, somebody in an amazing outfit just walked behind you while you were saying that. So sorry.
Yes, there's all sorts of things going on. You may have seen me distracted. We have people wearing pig masks in front of me. There's about 15 people wearing pig masks. I don't know what's happening. It's South by Southwest. Anything can happen here. You have no idea.
Pig masks. Come on, if I was there, I would. Oh my God, this is killing me. My curious little brain cannot handle this. It cannot handle this. Okay. Oh, you're killing me. Okay, so tell me. Oh, there she goes again. So tell me what's happening? Okay, so what is couture cognition? How fashion affects our brain? Tell me in 3 lines. How does fashion affect our brain?
Simply put, we form first judgments of one another within 100 milliseconds of meeting somebody new. And that first impression has nothing to do with what we say. It has to do with our appearance. Our eyes are making that judgment first. So it's all about how we construct what we're wearing, how we design our outside to reflect what we want to portray to people, and how we can use our appearance to communicate with people.
So would this be like the way that often when I will go somewhere, I will make an effort to wear something that is culturally connected to where I'm going? So that
that's absolutely
of respect. They feel respect, or they'll be like, oh, you know, when I used to go to Pakistan or Afghanistan, I would wear a shalwar kameez, and they'd be like, oh, you look so cute in that. And I'm like, you do look cute in it. And I'm signaling a respect for the culture as well.
It even goes deeper than a sign of respect. What you're actually signaling is that you're part of their group. So our brains respond differently to people who we believe are categorized in an out group versus an in group. And when you're wearing some clothing, some accessory, something that connects you to a group of people, it automatically lets them know that they can trust you because you're part of their in group. And it puts their brain at ease, and it makes them more open and receptive to what you have to say.
Can I just say, this is like also triggering me about my high school years in so many ways. When I could not afford the Benetton. Triggering the feeling that I was not part of the in-group. All right. So you mentioned though, you had people who went to all 3 talks, indicating that we've got some sort of Heather stands. Have we got like names for this group yet? Have we come up with it? Are we starting a fan club?
I mean, I would like to call them the Brainiacs.
Okay, we can work. Okay, I'm writing that.
Working
down.
title.
Working title. Love it. Working title. The Brainiacs. Brainiacs, if you're out there, what do you think about that title?
We could be inspired by a 1980s film and just call them the Heathers.
That I'm much more into personally. Could it be because I am Gen X? Could it be I like the Heathers?
I never travel anywhere without my Heathers, the musical keychain. So I am on brand everywhere I go.
Okay, the Heathers. Let's make this a thing. Do you want to be in that in-group? I want to be in that in-group. In fact, I would say I already am. Now, I do know, as someone who has been trying to organize this with you, that you are getting tired and that you are dealing with what, if I was using your language, is a little bit of cognitive overload, right? Like it's starting to be like and I know this from covering wars. It starts to be harder every day to keep up the same pace. Would you say that that's been your experience?
100%, 100%. Yeah, and it's South by Southwest is like no other conference anybody's ever been to. Rather than you go to a conference for journalism or for business or for fintech, this is everything all rolled into one, which increases the cognitive load on our brain. It is 27 sessions at one time, which increases decision fatigue. And I had 3 presentations in 6 days, and I am on day 10 of being completely immersed in activities from morning until the time I go to bed at night. So cognitive overload has definitely set in, and right now my brain is kind of chugging along this marathon, kind of looking to where the end is, where the finish line is going to happen, and I can actually get some sleep.
So what is keeping you going? How would you say that you are continuing to, oh my God, there's a bear creeping up behind you. Is it Kitty?
It's a PBS bear. Let's say hi. 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 Say hi to
I told you she was
audience.
I told you she was getting a little bit tired, but also yeah, you know what?
Thank you. I love you too. When a big bear wants a hug, you can't say no.
Actually, I have a story about that. But anyway.
So, yes, cognitive overload is set in.
That was perfect. Because the truth is, things are going to happen. Sometimes you got to hug a bear. And your focus is normally so intense. I actually don't think you would have normally done that. And I love that you did. And also that your focus is now mildly fragmented.
So I actually had no idea there was a big bear behind me wanting attention until Brian tapped me on the shoulder and was like, there's a big bear behind you who wants attention.
Well, I could see it creeping up behind you. And there would have been a time that like I would have been hyper vigilant for threat, but I knew the big fuzzy bear was not a threat. So I would say, like, if I was looking at this, not from a brain perspective, but from somebody who has led teams through what you're dealing with now, I would say the fact you have Brian, your beloved, accompany you is a huge benefit to getting through this. I would say the fact that you are so deeply in the flow of doing what you love and being stimulated intellectually, which you also love, is keeping you going. And you are taking downtime when you can to have snacks and just shut off, is keeping you going. I would say, like, to me, those are like some key ingredients for anyone who, and you know the outtake. You always want to give people an outtake when you can. So what do you think are the key ingredients keeping you going?
Yeah, I would say I have been prioritizing getting at least 7 hours of sleep.
Wow.
And yeah, that's been wonderful, and that's been absolutely necessary. I will say that I have been taking time to appreciate social interaction for the sake of social interaction. So there's networking where you're kind of on edge. And then there are times like last night, I was at a global event party for a Brazilian organization, and South by Southwest has about 4,000 Brazilians that come every year, and met some great Brazilians. We were just talking about things and talking about Austin and the food here and what we're enjoying.
And in general, Brazilians are amazing.
Oh, they're amazing. I love them.
I'm generalizing. I've loved being in Brazil every single
Yes.
time. So yeah.
Yes. And taking time to appreciate the actual social interactions has been
Love it.
helpful.
Yeah. So treating them as moments to enjoy and remember rather than, death march.
Yeah, being cognizant about turning off the networking switch and turning on the social enjoyment switch.
Ooh,
and being
I love
very intentional about that.
I love that so much, like presence of talking about stuff you really love with other people who love the same things, which is actually nourishing, right? That's a way you can fill yourself up. But you also have been you have a team, right? You've got a team of people and you've been seeing people that you really do have deep trust. You can be yourself, and where if you're having a down moment, you can be down. And I think that's hugely important in how we get to big events like this.
Yes, I have my husband with me, and he's an excellent tether handler. And we have a lot of good friends that you and I are friends with who are here too. He's the original Heather. And so having time with a lot of good friends here has been quite restorative also. It's been great.
So if I was going to ask you, what are your big takeaways from other people? Like, we've heard some amazing stuff that you've brought to the table. What have you heard? If you were to say 3 things, I'm going to limit you. What are 3 things that you have heard that have stuck with you?
So they actually all relate to one general theme, if that's all right, that I think is really interesting.
Yeah, sure.
And that general theme is people noticing the evolution of South by Southwest and how interests are shifting. And this comes up no matter where I am, what kind of event it is, what kind of talk it is, this is coming up. And in 2025, the big thing at South by Southwest was AI is coming. And this year, the big theme is AI is here. How are we dealing with it? And everybody's talking about next year, how do we survive and thrive as humans while AI is still growing? And it's sort of like, it's here, we're dealing with it, people know how to use it. But how do we actually elevate society and maintain our humanity and community?
Yes.
And this, you might not be here physically, but you have been in my brain a lot, because every time I hear this, I keep thinking, this is Melanie's message. This is exactly Melanie's message, community and hope. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that aspect.
I think it's interesting because South by Southwest tends to be people looking ahead and seeing where innovations are taking us. I think there is I love hearing that, because it is also such a community event. So sometimes we can have a blind spot to what is actually really important, right? That this incredible element of community and humanity, like you hugging that damn bear, is what is so special and important. And we are in this incredible time of geopolitical crisis, economic crisis, whether or not we want to admit it or not, right? The combination of layoffs and AI acceleration and all of this is making people tetchy as all get out, right? We look at the housing markets, we look at the job markets, and we think, ooh, what am I going to do? And the answer is, okay, how are we going to find humanity and connection and community? Whether it is as small business owners, whether it is as tech people within and between companies, and how are we going to ensure that we are using these amazing tools, because these are amazing tools, rather than being used by them, rather than having the wave just wash over us. How are we going to ensure that we're in the boat and maybe in a flotilla, sailing out on a big adventure? Because otherwise, I think otherwise it's going to feel like a very scary couple of years. And I think it can be both. You can acknowledge that there is some stuff worth looking at and being concerned by, and there's absolutely a way forward. So I love that we're thinking about what is the way forward.
Yeah, that's, I think, the essential message and theme that I'm hearing from everybody here. And it's This is your time, my friend. You're not here, but you're at the forefront of exactly what everybody's talking about here.
Yeah,
This is so
parachuting in,
important right
but
now.
not in an actual parachute. It's the one thing. Well, one of the one. No, I suppose there's a few things I haven't done. I've never jumped out of a plane.
You know what? How about we channel our inner Muppets and we have you travel by map?
I'd love that. I think because when I'm thinking about, because I've been using, I have to admit, I've been using AI a fair amount. But when I'm talking, I have friends who do not use it at all yet. And when yes, I know, shocking to anybody, especially a South by Southwest person. But a lot of the reasons they don't use it is they do not see it as useful.
Yeah.
And they view it as slop. And a lot of the young people I know are suspicious of it. Because
I've seen that here also.
A lot of the young people view it as a tool for enrichment of a few. They don't view it as being used in the ways that we've talked about that it can be used for the enrichment and betterment of society as a whole, businesses as a whole, intergenerational businesses, curing cancer, not just. I heard this guy Mo Bitar talk about people putting their shower thoughts out on open source, and I laughed so hard. A shout out to Brian Wallace for sharing that one with me. And I think that you have people who are going to be affected by AI, who should be involved with it, who are looking at it and saying, no, I know this isn't all there is. And folks who are very much in the inner circle and who are also being laid off by it need to be thinking about how can we make it useful? How can we genuinely make it useful? Not just a rabbit hole where I'm still asking it questions about Myanmar 6 hours later. Or telling
Which is really easy to do.
I'm going to tell it, you ask me questions. I did tell it that the other day. I said, you ask me. You tell me.
Yes, absolutely. Have AI prompt you back. That's how we elevate our thinking.
Yeah. But I don't know. So I think when I'm hearing this, I'm thinking about all the conversations that I'm having really. And not that these aren't real, but it's like, I would always say, if you are a person who is in the zeitgeist or in the tech center or in the innovation center, reach outwards. Reach outwards to people who are one step further and have a conversation about what it looks like for somebody who is not in your circle. Because, you said about the fashion talk, we talk to people who are in our tribes. But one of the great gifts I think I've had is always speaking to people who are not in my tribe. And it tells us so much and it helps us innovate more. Would you not say? Like that is you look at South by Southwest, you're speaking to people across the streets.
This is what learning is all about. This is what learning and growing is all about. And it's not only good for society and good for us and maybe our careers, it's good for our brains too at the cellular level. This is how we keep growing and learning and challenging ourselves. And this is how neuroplasticity happens. Go outside your comfort zone, talk to somebody that's a little bit different from you, somebody that comes from a different background, and learn something new.
Yeah. So in Austin, don't just stay at the cool houses. I would invite anyone watching this to go to some place a little less cool and have a conversation.
Go to a meetup of people that are in a different profession than you.
Okay, yeah. Yes. And so I throw the improv ball. Go to a meetup of somebody different or go to a Dollar General and say, we were talking about how AI is going to save the world, and ask them if they use it. And what do they use it for? And what are they afraid of? Curious, one last question, because we're at 29:22. Heather is normally our timekeeper. You'll all be shocked to hear. Why do sometimes the best ideas happen like 3 days after the conference or when you're on the way home? Why is that the case? What happens in your brain?
It does. What happens is the term is called long-term potentiation, and this is a really long way to say when those memories are made, it takes after those experiences, it takes a little bit of time for them to spread throughout your brain and for them to be anchored to different things in your brain. So essentially, there's a little marinating that happens there where those ideas start meeting up with other ideas. Those neurons talk to each other and tickle each other, and then start blending to make a delicious marinade of advanced ideas and thoughts that you didn't initially have.
Tickling neurons is one of my favorite new Dr. Heather Collins phrases. Tickling neurons as a way to innovate and get new ideas is one of my favorite new ways to think about how we get ideas. I always have moments like I'll be standing in the airport line and all of a sudden I'm like, and then I have to like stop and record something. But maybe my neurons tickle more quickly. I don't know.
That tickling is going to start when the event happens, and it could go on for days. It could even go on for weeks. And I'm like, oh, that thing I thought about last week. Yes.
So if you were going to give people your top 3 what do you want people to take away from your experience? I mean, without having had neurons tickle. This is your tickling time. This was your neuron tickling time. This show.
I would say be cognizant that people are interacting with you and communicating with you partially based on how you appear and what you wear. And so there's a good reason to curate your wardrobe, your appearance, and everything based on who you're going to talk with and how you want to be seen.
Okay.
I would say that we can interact with AI in a way that leads to brain gain instead of brain drain. So it's not all doom and gloom. And I would also say find a way to tickle your neurons. Find some way out there to go and learn something new, talk to somebody different, and expand your horizons.
Can I just say I am super duper super proud of you for having done this, for having kept on marching, and for having done 3, which, by the way, folks, is really unheard of, presentations at South by Southwest. It is just a sign of how elevated your brain is. And I am delighted to know you and work with you. And if people want to hire you, they should, because that would make them smart. If you have thoughts, comments, questions, if you want to get to know one or more of us better, drop a note in the comments and we will get back to you, or send us a DM. And we are going to wrap it up for now. I cannot wait to speak more to you, Dr. Heather Collins, once you've had a time to collapse in a heap. But for now, what is she
thinking?
Yeah, perfect. Got it in one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.